There are those who would suggest that the system of heaven and hell, interpreted as one of eternal reward or punishment, is not only a lovely establishment, but an essential one. Those I've pressed on the matter tend to reason that a system granting paradise or reward for eternity in accordance with the righteousness of one's life is the only true means for deliverance of fair karma. They feel better believing those good people who live unfortunate lives will be rewarded for their suffering, while those people they don't like, who seem to get away with moral injustices, will get what they deserve for doing so. It's a strong coping mechanism for those who struggle grasping the reality isn't fair. Some have gone so far as to argue that even if no religion is true, it's better for some people to believe it because the impending cosmic punishment will deter would-be criminals from committing acts of evil, because they may believe that they can evade the police, but they can't evade God. I have plenty of problems with the legal system we have in place here in reality, particularly in America's region of reality, but I consider it a hell of a lot better than that of the fantasy-based all-or-nothing system of those who believe in the punishment-reward version of hell and heaven. I'm tempted to agree that if someone needs to believe he or she will be punished in the afterlife in order to not rape or murder people during life, then it's fine for him or her to believe it. However, I can't help but feel that to encourage that behavior ubiquitously, spreading the lie to everyone on earth just to get a meaningful effect on some self-absorbed sociopaths, seems to utterly lack damage control. Strictly enforcing a nationwide curfew requiring all civilians to be off the streets and in their homes after dusk would probably reduce the crime rate too. We don't implement something like that, though, because it would be an extremist solution to the problem that does more harm than good. So, even if the omnipresent watchdog tactic actually worked, I wouldn't support it, but I'm not convinced that it does. Correlation data, just one example of which is linked in the graphic below, suggests that religious people commit as much or more violent crimes than non-religious people. I'm not prepared to conclude that this correlation equals causation, but I am prepared to conclude that evidence does show that being religious and believing in an omnipresent surveillance camera in the sky doesn't magically stop people from committing crimes. It's my opinion that a litany of other factors contributes to most individuals' development strongly enough to determine whether they will become social deviants and criminals, that they will do so in spite of their religion, and even use that religion to justify their deleterious behavior. If you don't believe me, take a walk through any ghetto or prison in America and let me know if you find a gang of thugs wherein not a single member has any religious jewelry or tattoos. Don't try to tell me they aren't true Christians either, just because they exhibit behavior deviant from your version of Christianity. Take a browse through the Old Testament and let me know if the people following God's direct orders according to the Bible weren't true Christians for their behavior either. One of the biggest problems I have with the endless paradise or eternal torture dichotomy is it's a childish system of punishment that's definitively unfair. It ignores all nuances for measuring a punishment to fit its crimes, and I see no point in punishing someone for eternity anyway. Even that means that someone worthy of hell 10 years ago for the exact same sins of someone who goes to hell today for it has to suffer for 10 more years of torture for the exact same crimes, and that's under the assumption that their sins are exactly equal. But how often does that even happen? Undoubtedly, different people's injustices have upset their gods to varying degrees. Those who bear false witness without repenting can't deserve the exact same punishment as those who rape and murder someone without repenting. And if you interpret the Bible to claim that all sins are equal in the eyes of the Lord, then congratulations, you worship a God who delivers justice with even less competency than the American legal system. What of that system's effects on God's judgment, by the way? If a person commits murder during life and is sentenced to life in prison, does he go to hell along with the person who got away with murder? That doesn't seem fair. You see, the lack of variance and the lack of degrees here makes this for a completely unfair system. Also noteworthy is that because a person can't act upon his or her regrets delivered by the tortures of hell, it's worthless as a punishment and can only serve as a deterrent which, as I covered earlier, does not work.